nobody could judge you, not your parents, not your friends, not even strangers online, what would you do with your life? Most people aren't ignoring their dreams out of laziness, it's out of fear. Fear of judgment, rejection. But what about that voice inside of you? It's just not a noise. That voice is your compass to finding fulfillment for you. And ignoring that voice within you is actually one of the biggest barriers in finding fulfillment. Here you need to dig deep. What really matters to you, not what you think should matter, but what truly matters. Think of situations where you, for example, felt truly content, like you belong, whether it be spiritually or practically. Where have you truly felt at peace, truly aligned with what you stand for? Here's an exercise idea for you. List 5 core values that you have. And once again, what you have, not what you think you should have. I have also included a free journaling prompts in the description down below if you want to use that as well. Another thing that you can think about is what success truly is to you. Is it that promotion? The dream job? Or is it maybe to be economically free? Or get those grades that you've always wanted? Who knows? Maybe you need to start rethinking what success is. Instead of having these external metrics as mentioned earlier, maybe it's time to start thinking about more internal metrics. Maybe it's better to put success as something like work with something that you truly are passionate about, what truly means something to you. Develop yourself in something that you are curious about, or maybe something that might be difficult for you as well, a bit challenging. And to do so without focusing on the outcome. Maybe it's to live your life without the fear of rejection and judgment. To truly live your life authentically to you. Your people, your right people, will find you once you're truly yourself. I spent over 15 years dreaming about this trip to New Zealand. Oh my gosh, I have been planning it, I have been looking so much forward to seeing all the grand nature, to all the adventures, the excitement, the finally made it moment. And the trip was amazing. But something strange happened once I got back. Instead of feeling fulfilled, I felt empty. It hit me then that I had fallen into the arrival fallacy. I thought the experience itself would be enough, but fulfillment doesn't come from reaching that goal or achievement, that destination. It comes from what that destination means to you. And if you don't slow down to reflect about it, to sit down with the experience and let it change you, it just becomes another thing on that list. That's the thing about this arrival fallacy. It shows up everywhere. And that's basically how I have lived my whole life as well. I get stuck in the dopamine version of fulfillment. I become excited, I start to consume, I finish, and then I'm on to the next thing. We think that once we reach this goal, or land that job, or get those grades, or finish that book, that we will feel content, that we will finally be complete. But what actually happens? Well, we hit that goal and directly we start focusing on the next goal, to hit the next thing, instead of actually sitting with the feeling and enjoy it. And this is because we are trained to chase, not to reflect. Fulfillment lives in the pause of achievement, not the actual achievement. It's in asking ourselves, what did it teach me? How did it change me? And what will I carry with me forward? And if we skip this introspection and reflection, even the most amazing moments can actually start feeling hollow And a good journaling prompt for this that I also used is, if I could re-experience this whole thing, but in a slower pace, what would I do differently? And you can get even more deep prompts in the PDF in the description. So, to understand this section a bit better, let's dive into what's the difference between dopamine and fulfillment. Because if we don't understand the differences, then it can become quite tricky here. Because I think that a majority of us tend to think that dopamine is the fulfillment. So let's check it out. Here you can see a table with the differences between dopamine and fulfillment. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is a chemical released in the brain when we expect a reward. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is a deeper emotional and psychological state of mind. Dopamine is short-term with spikes, while fulfillment is long-lasting and sustained. Dopamine feels like this excitement, the buzz, the craving, while fulfillment is peace, purpose and contentment. For example, in dopamine, it could be likes on a post that you have posted on social media. It can be a new purchase. It can be a sugar rush or porn, for example. While fulfillment instead is meaningful work, connection and creating something impactful. And the cycle for dopamine is often addictive. It often leaves you wanting more, while fulfillment on the other hand is more satisfying and often makes you want to give more instead. So now that we actually understand the difference between dopamine and fulfillment, let's discuss it. Me personally, I've been in the dopamine cycle for so damn long. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I restricted my social media, because I was addicted. And I still struggle with it, even though I have restricted my social media, but I started to paint again, for example, for my sake this time around, just because I enjoy creating something. And as soon as I was done with the piece, and I was quite happy with it, I brought out my phone and I wanted to take a picture of the painting that I made to put it up on social media and send to my parents, for example. But why? And I actually asked myself, why do I feel the need to send this or upload this image? Especially if I started to paint for my sake again. So why did I want to show it to everyone? Well, the reason is the dopamine rush and validation. So I never uploaded that picture or that painting, because it was for me, my eyes only. And my most recent experience with the dopamine rush is the New Zealand trip. It was full of buzz, excitement, adventures, the spikes were high all the time. And I just got cravings for more adrenaline rushes all the time. But it kind of left me empty afterwards. So I also have a lot to work on, especially on this part with the dopamine. That's my biggest struggle. So try to truly be conscious of why you are doing something. Not just do it just because, but truly try to ask yourself, why do I do what I do? And try instead to focus on the long-lasting feeling, that deep internal gratification that you have regarding what you're doing. This can example come from that you're immersing yourself so deeply into a task that you reach the flow state. The flow state is, you remember when you were a kid basically and you were out for hours just playing and you forgot about the time and all of a sudden it was like 10 o'clock in the evening or whatever? That's the flow state. Or when you get so immersed into what you're doing right here and now, that time just simply disappears. That's the flow state. And that's when you actually reach something that's truly meaningful for you. And please, just note that social media, scrolling on social media, which can also make the hours pass you by, that does not count. We are so prone and taught to consume these days that we have forgotten about how to create. We live in a world where superficial things have more value than something meaningful. For example, a high salary is often more valuable than working with something that you're truly passionate about. Or it could be to have the newest phone, even though that you have a fully functional, decent phone that still works for everything that you need it for. Or it could be that we're just consuming social media for hours and then being left feeling alone, sad, dissatisfied, worthless, left behind in life. Why not just create instead? Fulfillment often goes hand in hand by creating something. It could be writing, painting, reading, photographing, whatever, helping others, connecting, or maybe even crocheting, as I have started to do. But to actively do something instead of just sitting passively and watch your life pass you by. Then we come to one of the scariest things in the world, according to me, which is setting boundaries and sticking to them, saying no, and disregard things that actually distracts you from doing what you truly want to do. Distractions that actually makes you feel worse about yourself. This is something that is very difficult for many of us, including me. And I still struggle with it. In my past, I usually said yes to everything, even though if I didn't want to do it, basically. I said yes because I didn't want to make other people disappointed. And that cost me my energy, my time, and my happiness. I also used to ignore a boundary that I set as soon as someone tried to guilt trip me, or tried to play on my empathy, or anything like that. Nowadays, I have learned and applied, even though it's still difficult, and it will most likely be difficult for the rest of my life. But once I set a boundary, I will stick with it. And I don't have to be cold-hearted or harsh about it. I can politely state my boundary and stay with that boundary. Otherwise, my word will actually mean nothing if I don't stick to it. And if I don't stick with my boundaries, I will feel sad, I will feel drained, bad, and the worst thing, resentment starts to creep up on me. It starts to fester. That is valuable energy that can be saved by just setting boundaries and keeping those boundaries. And even though I still feel very, very uncomfortable setting boundaries and saying no, I feel a relief afterwards, because I know I have stayed true to myself and that I have been authentic to myself. And that, in turn, calms my nervous system, because I used to be anxious, and I'm not anymore. Because I feel that I'm true to myself, what I stand for and what I need. And I can therefore focus on things that truly matters to me. And if you also struggle with this, trust me, you will most likely struggle with it for the rest of your life, and it is difficult. But trust me, once you've started, it will actually be a relief. This is something that I have done for the past year or so now, which has meant really much for me, because it's been really good for me, and perhaps also for you. So basically every week I write in my journal things that I feel grateful for. This could be, for example, the opportunity that I had to learn something new, to appreciate my loved ones, or your loved ones in this case, maybe to celebrate a small win in something that you've been dreading or felt was difficult for you, or anything else that you feel truly matters to you. However, I would highly recommend that you focus on an experience or a feeling and something deeper than just, I purchased this. For me, this helped because I tend to focus on things that I can measure, like materialistic things. Something that I can quantify. And that just made me want more and more and more, because I never felt content. Now I focus more on the qualitative things that you can't really measure, but you truly feel it. So try to focus more on a feeling than a physical thing. I know this is a lot, and trust me, it's difficult, and it most likely will be difficult forever, to be honest. Especially if you, like me, tend to avoid something within, an emptiness, sort of. Because then this will be quite scary, because you will actually need to sit down, focus on yourself, sit with your thoughts and feelings and your inner self. But it truly do feel better when you're true to yourself. It's a journey that never ends, and that's the beauty of it. It's a beautiful journey. And it doesn't have to happen overnight. It will most likely not happen overnight. So just take baby steps, one day at a time. Focus on some small things. Try to listen deeper to yourself. And if you feel like this is resonating with you and you want to dive a bit deeper, feel free to use that journaling guide that I have linked in the description, called Realignment Reflections. It's filled with thoughtful prompts that can help you find your fulfillment. And honestly, I kind of made it for myself as well. I have used it many times. So, until next time.